Here we are, another one of these. A I Quit YuGiOh video. I think this has to be like a little tradition in the Yu-Gi-Oh sphere, you know? Once in a while, if things have seemed too good or quiet or maybe horrible, I don't know. Someone just has to go and do a little gut punch. You know, not that, yeah, I don't think mine will be much of a gut punch. I actually haven't uploaded since last year, July or something. So, yeah, let's tell the story. Before we get into everything, I think the first thing we need to discuss is that there's different kinds of Yu-Gi-Oh players. And the easiest way for me to, divide everything is three levels. There's casual, which is, you like the old series. Maybe you play some GOAT format. Maybe you play some Edison. Maybe you go to locals once in a while. You might even, at the very tippity top, enjoy a regional with your friends and go like 4-4, and that was your day, but you had loads of fun at, table 200 playing Burning Abyss or something, that is casual. And casual is a big spectrum, and there's nothing wrong with being casual. It is perfectly possible that you are having loads of fun, with a lower power format, or just with the anime, or you just collect or anything like that, and I suck ass at this game, but I'm having fun. I don't spend a lot of time. I don't spend a lot of money, and it's totally cool. That's perfect. Honestly, you might be the happiest Yu-Gi-Oh player if you're in that category. All right, so then we get into the mid-core player, which is something I think Team APS, started talking about. And if you're a mid-core player, I think you're the type to go to a regionals. You might even go to some YCSs. You've got some regional tops. You've got maybe a regional win, maybe even a singular YCS top at some point. But you are not a consistently topping YCS player. You are not traveling the world to go to all of these YCSs. You are not qualifying worlds, none of that. You might, top some regionals. You might even win a regional depending on, regional size or how hard it was or how lucky you were that day. But you're not part of the hardcore grinders. You are not in that conversation. That to me is a mid-core player. And then you've got the hardcore players. Hardcore players, in my opinion, are the ones who are traveling the world probably to get as many YCSs as possible. Depending on budget, this might look different for other people, of course, but you are consistently topping these YCSs. You are in the world's race, whether in Master Duel or otherwise. You are grinding Dueling Book consistently to be at that top level, and you are in that conversation. People know you as one of those players. We're talking about the Pags, the Joshua Schmidt, the Jesse Cotton, the Hani, the LeBlanc, Ruben, and so forth. All these players stopping consistently. That is the hardcore players. And I think it's very important to realize which you are and which you aren't. I would say I was part of those mid-core players. I've got some regional tops. I've got a regional win, sure. I have no YCS tops or anything like that. And that is 100% my fault. I did not test enough. I did not pick the correct decks. When Snake Eyes was clearly the proper deck to play, I was playing Yubel because I found it more fun. When maybe Rescue Ace was best deck in, AGOF format or something like that, I was playing Tearlaments, just having fun. But I was still doing fine, So I was definitely not putting in the time and the choices to be a consistently topping player. Why am I saying this? Because the way you enjoy the game is going to be extremely different depending which category you're in. For example, if the format is ass at one point, but you only play GOAT, that doesn't affect you. If the format is horrible, but you're only going to locals where you get to beat up the Trap Trick Structure deck, who fucking cares? You're gonna have so much fun anyway, so it doesn't matter. At the same time, if the format maybe is a tier 0 format where the best minds are destroying each other and you get destroyed by the best minds, let's say, a tier 0 tournament format, if you're a hardcore player, you're having the time of your life. But if you're not, you do not have the time of your life. So again, depending on which category you're in, different things of Yu-Gi-Oh are going to feel different for you. And you might find the format awesome or not awesome. You might find the game great or not great and so forth. So we have to establish this because otherwise none of the other things are making sense. So I was a mid-core player, doing fine at regionals, going to a YCS here or there, but not a consistently YCS topping player or anything like that. Now I play another card game, Cardfight Vanguard. It's a smaller game for sure, where I am a hardcore player. I will go to various events, I will try to qualify worlds, I will consistently be topping these events, be winning these events and so forth, because I have spent all of the time the past years to get to that level and then also put in the time afterwards. And that is something I wasn't doing for Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's very important. You have to realize that if you try to go in Yu-Gi-Oh! From midcore to hardcore, you are gonna have to spend the time. I know a few months ago, Pac was like, oh, I'm still topping despite having this hard job and so forth. But the only reason that's true is because Pac already put in a lot of that time the years before that. All of those high-level instincts and then the connections you get from that are crucial. And I'm not just saying, oh, you need to know someone to do well. Not at all. If you right now decide I am going to spend 8 hours a day on Dueling Book, grinding the living shit out of everything, and then I'm going to be playing like Ironmans against the best players ever, and I'm going to do that literally 8 hours a day for 3 years, you will be a hardcore player even if you have 0 connections today. Absolutely. This game, at the highest level, is extremely skill-based, the best players are consistently topping, and if you aren't, that's on you. But if you do not have the time to do that, sorry, you're shit out of luck. There is no way you can put casual time into Yu-Gi-Oh! And become a hardcore player unless you already have the years of not doing that. So now that we have prefaced this entire story, we can talk about why I quit. So last year, I was having fun with Yubel at a point where Yubel was actually pretty strong. And Shifter was really, really, really annoying me. You would have Tenpai in the format, and you would just draw face, Shifter, and oh, it's pass, I guess. And then they normal summon a Tenpai, and you lost. Hey, you can go home. Hope you had fun. Okay, next round. Draw face, Shifter, okay, pass. They normal summon a Tenpai. They won. All right. Hope you had fun. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. Why am I taking a 2-hour train to randomly lose to someone who opened some fucking bullshit auto-win floodgate and then go home? This feels terrible. Absolutely terrible. And now you might say, oh, but, you know, you should have just played the correct deck, which was Snake Eyes. And I agree. Again, if you are trying to become a hardcore player and you are consistently on the correct decks, these things will affect you less. But if you aren't, which is the large majority of Yu-Gi-Oh players, Yu-Gi-Oh at certain points simply fucking sucks. And then you can say like, oh, but that's only like specific formats, it's only specific decks, it's only... And I started thinking, is it only specific formats, specific decks? I started thinking back and I'm just like, I feel this way every format. You know, like in Kashtira format, it was like, oh, you know, they'll hit Kashtira and then we can play fun Yu-Gi-Oh again. And mind you, I was playing Kashtira, you know, because I was forced to. but in Kashtira format, everyone, you know, they'll hit Kashtira, they'll hit Shifter, and then after that, we can finally go back to a fun Yu-Gi-Oh. But then you think back, like, right before that was Tier 0 Tearlament, and I found that fun, but everyone else didn't find that fun. So during that format, people were like, oh, but they'll hit tier because it's tier 0, obviously, it's way too broken, and then we'll go back to fun Yu-Gi-Oh. But then you go right before that format, and that was like Scythe Lock Turbo, and people are like, oh, no. See, we're gonna hit Scythe, and then Yu-Gi-Oh is gonna be fun. And then during tier format even, you know, you got shifted by Exo Sister. And it's like, oh, but, you know, they'll hit that and then Yu-Gi-Oh will be fun. Promise, this time for real. They'll hit this thing and then Yu-Gi-Oh will become fun. And then the format after, it's like, oh, we're playing these Snake Eyes mirrors or whatever you're playing. And oh, they flipped Skill Drain and now you auto lose. And it's like, no, see, these floodgates, they're gonna hit them. And then Yu-Gi-Oh will be fun. And everyone keeps saying that we'll return to some, like, mysterious Yu-Gi-Oh! That we all know and love. But I don't think any one of us has actually ever gotten to play that Yu-Gi-Oh! I do not think that the mysterious Yu-Gi-Oh! That is fun that we will be returning to once the ban list fixes issue 769 actually ever existed. I don't think the fun Yu-Gi-Oh! Existed. And I know that's like very harsh to say because I love Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, you know, this story is going somewhere, by the way. It's not just dooming. I literally got a blue eyes white dragon tattoo. You know, I love Yu-Gi-Oh! I love the franchise. I love so much about Yu-Gi-Oh! I love Toon Monsters. I love Pegasus. I love Kaiba. I love Zane Truesdale with the Cyber Dragon and the Chimera Takeover Dragon. I love Yu-Gi-Oh! But I think we need to have these conversations. It's like, I kept thinking, you know, when do I love Yu-Gi-Oh? If it's not a format, maybe it's specific games, you know? Maybe every format has its issues, but there are specific games that make it all worth it. And I started thinking, okay, how do I enjoy playing Yu-Gi-Oh? Do I enjoy Hand Trap Wars, where I lose to a Triple Tactics Talents? Do I enjoy like, oh, a smart use of Imperm Nib, but then they opened Crossout and I lose on the spot? Do I enjoy that? Hell no. I don't enjoy that. When do I fucking enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh? And I think back, my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh is when there's no game-defining non-engine. Zero. You know, fuck your Ash, fuck your Imperm, fuck your Nibiru, fuck your Skill Drain, fuck all of that. Fuck your Triple Tactics Talents taking a Rise Heart, you know, fuck all of that. And I understand if you had a format like that, you know, it would just be FTK Turbo, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying I want that format. I'm saying Yu-Gi-Oh! Is most enjoyable when not a single non-engine instantly wins the game, and there's like a giant board in front of me. I have 6 cards of engine, and I need to tactically maneuver through everything my opponent has set up, and I break the board and I OTK. Or the flip side, I built like a crazy board and my opponent gradually needs to go through it with their engine and I need to utilize my interruptions correctly to stop them from breaking through. That to me is peak Yu-Gi-Oh! Powerful engines versus powerful engines just going through stuff. And then lower power versions of that is, you know, whenever there's a lower power format where these engines, you know, are fighting against each other. That is the peak Yu-Gi-Oh! That I love. And then I was thinking, when does that happen? Ever? And the answer is it doesn't. That Yu-Gi-Oh!, that mythical Yu-Gi-Oh! That I finally defined as the Yu-Gi-Oh! That I love, engine versus engine, just gradually grinding through stuff and so it doesn't fucking exist. Now, don't get me wrong, it will sometimes happen. You know, I vividly remember being at a regional and my opponent had built a full Dragon Link board with every fucking interruption, 2 Bestials in hand. I opened only Tier Limits cards and I played right through it. And I vividly remember that because I walked out of the venue so excited. I had to tell all my friends this was the most fun I've ever had in Yu-Gi-Oh! Just my engine and my plays going through their board. It was incredible. It was, oh. And it was, the fact that I remember that specific game shows me that those games almost never happen. And now you could argue, oh, maybe it's because you just suck that you don't play true boards with engine. And it's like, no, playing true boards with engine is something I'm able to do. It's just very often the board is also backed up by LOL Skill Drain. Now at 1, I understand. But like backed up by LOL, Droll, LOL, whatever card. And so like engine versus engine games just barely happen anymore. The only version is maybe the very low to the ground Kashtira, Bestial, Fiendsmith type of pile versus another one. Because Kashtira cards and Bestial cards are kind of like engine and non-engine at the same time. I do like what they're doing there. But overall, this type of Yu-Gi-Oh! Just doesn't exist. And that hit me like a truck. Just like, you know, this game I've been playing for years and being just mid at because I'm not able to put in the time I should be doing if I want to go to that next level. Having the thought hit me that the Yu-Gi-Oh! I love doesn't exist was insane. And so at that point, I kept thinking like, okay, but maybe all of that is still fine if they start hitting those lingering floodgates. You know, they had been doing a good job. Again, this was last year, gradually hitting. So I was like, okay, surely, you know, they just need to hit Shifter and then a lot of those floods are gone. Then the format might actually start getting somewhere. And then the Molt Charmy started coming out. And that's when things took a turn for the really worst. Because usually when a deck was able to play Shifter, it sucked balls. You know, like if a deck doesn't get to use one of the best resources in the game, being the graveyard, that probably meant that the deck was a fair bit weaker. And so, you know, when Exo Sister shiftered you, the games where they didn't shifter you, they were playing a shit deck, so it was fine. When Flu shiftered you, whenever they didn't open shifter, they were playing a shit deck, so it was fine. Kashtira, I mean, that was the best deck for a reason. But it was still actually a pretty low-power deck after they hit a Rise Heart to 1 and Diablosis to 0. So overall, shifter decks were always straight-up ass. Tenpai was then a bit too strong for being a shifter deck, but I was thinking, they'll gradually hit shifter. It's mostly weaker decks anyway, it's fine. But then these Charmies were straight-up lingering floods that every deck could play. And now I know some people are all pro-Mul Charmy or saying, oh, you can play around them, but I don't think so. Don't get me wrong, specific decks can play true specific Charmies, but Mulcharmy Fuaros, to me, it might as well be maxi. You can say, oh, but this deck can play through it, and then, pass on a little board and it's fine. But it's like, yes, but 95% of decks cannot. If Mulcharmy Fuaros goes off against the Yubel deck, what are you gonna do? You're gonna Samsara pass, or you're gonna give them plus 71? I mean, up to you, but one of the two is gonna happen. And every single tier 2 deck and below is also in that boat. A Fuaros ends your life. It is over. So now you have to draw Ash, or call by, or play Crossout, and welcome to the Maxi minigame. Like, are we really pretending like Fuaros isn't just Maxi for like 95% of decks? I'm not saying those are the best decks, and again, if you're a hardcore player and you are on the correct type of deck, you're totally fine here. You don't give a fuck. But that's not me. So to me, I was like, wow, this Yu-Gi-Oh! I hate, this Yu-Gi-Oh! I despise is about to become even more common. And that's when I decided I'm out. I'm just no longer going to waste my time being mid at this game that I do not have the time for to actually go beyond mid. So why am I even trying? I'll just quit. And that's when I stopped uploading. Now, at the time, I thought I would not be making a video, being all doomer and going like, I'm quitting and it's because Yu-Gi-Oh! Sucks and blah, 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 blah. But now I'm releasing a song with my band and I figured, this is the perfect time to milk this and get some pre-saves on our new song on Spotify. Go to the link in the description and pre-save our song. I mean, joking aside, the actual reason I'm making the video is because I was at locals, actually. So yeah, this story is going to have a happy ending, don't stick around, wait for that. But I was at locals, and there was a friend of mine who I was talking to and was like, yeah, I didn't want to make like a doomer video. It's just annoying, I understand why some people do it because they will be missed and a bunch of people are going to ask where they are, but no one's going to ask where I am. Who fucking cares? I just make some Master Duel videos from time to time. I'm not a big YouTuber or anything like that. And he said like, oh, really? You don't have comments of people asking where you are? And I'm like, I never checked. So I checked. And it turns out on a bunch of videos, people were asking where I was. So I was like, oh, damn, I kind of left some people out to dry. So I'm sorry. So here's the video. I didn't want to worry you. I'm alive, actually. So yeah, so now I am making the doomer video. But before you think I'm a doomer, here is the happy ending. You can save my band's song. No. Okay, I mean, you can, but that's not the happy ending. The happy ending is, as I said, I love Blue Eyes. And, while I quit Yu-Gi-Oh!, I saw this ad. I don't know if it was not an ad from official Yu-Gi-Oh!, but an ad for a Blue Eyes structure deck. A Blue Eyes? Wait, Blue Eyes? Blue Eyes? So I was like, well, Yu-Gi-Oh! Sucks balls, but surely it can be fun to summon the Blue Eyes White Dragon once in a while. So I got the Blue Eyes structure decks, and I started messing around with it. I'm like, wow, this is fun. This is so fun. So I slammed the Blue Eyes engine into a 60-card pile, and was like, wow, this is great. And I went to locals. And I had fun playing at locals, picked up my Blue Eyes structure decks, rammed the cards in, tried to get some of those fancy secret rares, and just played. And I went 2 or something like that. I didn't know what the fuck all these Malice cards did, and I didn't know what Rezal cards did. I figured out what Detonator does. That thing is crazy. That is fucking... Why would you play anything but Rezal? You're out of your mind if you're not playing Rezal. Holy shit, Detonator is broken. But so I didn't know any of these cards. I was just reading them. But I went 2-2. I summoned some Blue Eyes White Dragons. I had fun. I was like, wow, you know, once in a while... maybe this is not too bad. And that's when it hit me. Yu-Gi-Oh! Only sucks balls in the mid-core section. It suddenly made sense why Team APS made this video about the dying mid-core Yu-Gi-Oh! Players. That's me. I'm right here. Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't suck balls. Yu-Gi-Oh! Just sucks balls for the 60% of players in the middle. The players who are not putting in the time to become hardcore or don't have the money to become hardcore, but also try too hard to go beyond casual. Trust me, guys. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is great when you're a pro. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Is great when you just want to mindlessly summon some Blue Eyes White Dragons and don't give a fuck what the outcome of the game is. I had fun. And so the next week I went to locals again. I once again played my Blue Eyes White Dragon. That was fucking awesome. So that's the happy ending. I may have quit Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, seriously, because in my opinion, mid-level Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just a drag, but casual Yu-Gi-Oh! Just going to locals once in a while and summoning the ultimate whatever the fuck of destruction, that was great, and I had a great time. Now, does that mean I will start uploading again? Probably not, because I will have to become, you know, invested and actually care, and that's when I will become super frustrated again, and I don't want to do that. I am at my happiest when I can make awesome music, you know, focus on my company, which also, you know, is in the music industry. I get to play Cardfight Vanguard at the highest competitive level without spending too much time on it because I've been playing it for so long already, so I don't need as much testing as in Yu-Gi-Oh! And then I can just go to a locals once in a while, plop down Blue Eyes Neo Alternative Ultimate Your Mother Dragon, and have a great time, and don't care if stuff goes well. So that's it. If you're a mid-core player, I'm sorry. May you see the light one day. I'm not telling you to quit or whatever. I'm just saying, like, I'm having a great time down here, and pros are having a great time up there. If you're having a great time in the middle, awesome, keep going. But if you're not having a great time in the middle, you can put the time in to go up, or you can just get down in the mud. Get down in the mud with us, casuals. It's great. You can play Goat, you can play Edison, you can play Domain format, the weird commander thing. That looks sick. You can just not give a fuck and have fun once in a while and have a great life beyond that. You can still be part of the best franchise ever. Fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! Fucking Duel Monsters. Don't give a fuck. It's great. That's all I have to say. And go check out my new song. It's coming out next week. You can pre-save the thing at Spotify, link, whatever. Enjoy.